Hi everyone, this is just a short video explaining why we think you should pick computing science. S3 computing is made up of three main units. Each of these units is an introduction to areas that we'll explore in greater depth further up the school. Computer systems is about how a computer works, so it's an introduction to binary and computer structure. The programming through game making will introduce you to proper coding and do it through game making environments. And we'll also give an introduction to web development, so you'll be able to make your own websites using the two main web languages, HTML and CSS. Nat5 computing is made up of four main units. Computer systems, where we'll look again at binary data representation, aspects of computer structure, and also data security. Programming in Visual Studio will be an introduction to text-based programming, where we'll look at all of the main coding constructs and algorithms. And web development will extend your previous HTML and CSS knowledge, but also add on JavaScript so the web pages can become interactive. We'll also look at coding databases using SQL as an introduction to big data. Higher computing is an extension of everything we covered in Nat5. So it's all of the same units, just everything's covered in much greater detail and greater depth. So computer systems extends the binary data representation, computer structure, and data security that we looked at Nat5. Programming with Visual Studio just takes on more advanced coding constructs and algorithms and looks at interacting with text files. Web development is an awful lot more in depth in terms of the CSS and JavaScript involvement, and the databases use significantly more advanced SQL. Assessment at both Nat5 and higher follows the exact same model. There's both an assignment and an exam. The assignment is worth 50 marks, which is about 31% of your grade, and that's based around practical programming, databases and web development, and replicate the work done in class. The exam is out of 110, and it's based around being able to use your programming knowledge to understand and write code, and to be able to find errors in code written in the exam, and also to work through the design and testing stages. Databases, similarly, will be centered around understanding and writing in SQL, and finding errors in blocks of SQL code, and also looking at database design and how databases are tested. Web development will be focused on understanding and writing in HTML, CSS and JavaScript, finding errors in blocks of code, and again the design and testing stages. And then the computer systems theory would also be tested in your exam.
The Npa and Cyber Security involves studying three separate units. Those units are data security, ethical hacking, and digital forensics. In data security, we investigate how data can be stored, used, and shared. We examine the legal and ethical obligations placed on those who store data, and then look at the cybersecurity issues affecting these organizations. In ethical hacking, we look carefully at the laws governing the use of computers, as it is critical that we understand the legal obligations placed on IT specialists working in security, and in particular, looking at system protection and penetration testing. In digital forensics, we look at how digital technology is used in the investigation of crime. This includes a review of relevant legislation, as well as the processes involved in acquiring and analysing data from digital sources. The assessment of the Npa and Cyber Security is entirely done in class, with both written and practical assessments used as part of each of the three units of study.
Why should you pick computing science? Well, despite Brexit and COVID, it remains one of the fastest growing sectors in the UK, and therefore it's an area where you will be able to get a job. It's also an area where, because of shortages of skilled graduates, many of the jobs are really high paying. There's thousands of possible careers and routes into computing, and so exploring many of these at school would help you make better informed choices later in life. Almost all jobs will require a degree of computing knowledge, and it's going to be expected by most employers. Having completed school-based computing qualifications, you will be better prepared to cope with these requirements no matter what job you go into. Computing is a really practical subject, and it will train you to think logically and to take a systematic approach to problems. And that's going to help you across all your subjects. Computing is essentially a subject focused around problem solving. That's really good fun and also incredibly satisfying. If you have any questions about computing science, come and see us along the Maths ICT corridor. We're here to help, and we'd love it if you pick